Now introduce our first witness. Mr. Gregory Coots is the Managing Director of GAO's Forensic Audits and Special Investigations Unit. The mission of the FSI is to provide the Congress with high-quality forensic audits and investigations of fraud, waste, and abuse, and evaluations of security vulnerabilities and other requested investigative services. In 1991, Mr. Coots joined the Governmental Accountability Office after 8 years at KPMG Peat Marwick. As a senior executive at GAO, Mr. Coots has testified at congressional hearings over 80 times, primarily on matters related to fraud, waste, and abuse, and other special investigations. Mr. Coots has been responsible for reports issued by GAO and testimony relating to credit card and travel fraud and abuse, improper sales of sensitive military and dual-use technology, tax fraud and abuse, wage theft, Hurricane Katrina and Rita fraud, transit benefit fraud, procurement fraud, pay problems for military members, seclusion and restraint of disabled children in schools, and on and on. I read all of that to make a note of the fact that Mr. Coots has provided invaluable service, along with the GAO, to this Congress and to the American people in making sure that our taxpayers' dollars are well spent and that we have the information we need to oversee the spending of those tax dollars. So, Mr. Coots, welcome to the committee. I will start the clock at 25 minutes. If you need a few more than that, we'll do it, because I know you have a lengthy testimony. You have some video clips to show us. We have a vote at 10:40. We'll try to get through your opening testimony, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back. So, Mr. Coots, your written statement at the GAO will be made a part of the record in its entirety. And again, welcome, and please proceed.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss for-profit colleges. Today's testimony will provide you with an inside look at the sales and marketing practices of these colleges. My testimony has two parts. First, I will discuss what we did, and second, I will discuss the results of our undercover testing. First, our prospective students applied for admission to for-profit colleges in 6 states and here in Washington, D.C. We selected these colleges based on a number of factors, including size, location, and the percentage of federal funding that was received. Yes?
Interrupt you. I forgot to ask something I was supposed to. Mr. Coots, before you begin, I'd like to ask you to make the identity of the schools you visited public, together with the identity of the schools we'll be seeing in the video clips. If you would like to provide that list of the schools, we would appreciate that, and then each member could have that.
Certainly, I'll list them off. In our testimony, they're numbered as numbers 1 through 15, and so I'll just go through them. And there are actually 12 unique colleges. We went to 3 of them twice. Case number 1 is University of Phoenix in Arizona. Case number 2 is Everest College in Arizona. Number 3 is West Tech College in California. Number 4 is Kaplan College in California. Number 5 is Potomac College in Washington, D.C. Number 6 is Bennett College in Washington, D.C. Number 7 is Medvance Institute in Florida. Number 8 is Kaplan College again, this time in Florida. Number 9 is College of Office Tech in Illinois. Number 10 is Argosy University in Illinois. Number 11 is the University of Phoenix again, this time in Pennsylvania. Number 12 is Anthem Institute in Pennsylvania. Number 13 is Westwood College in Texas. Number 14 is again Everest College, this time in Texas. And number 15 is ATI Career Training in Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Coots.
What we did was we used bogus identities and documents and spoke to representatives at these 15 colleges that I just mentioned, which is again 12 colleges, and 3 of them were repeats. For the first scenario, our student had income that was low enough to qualify for federal grants and subsidized loans. For our second scenario, our student had higher income and $250,000 of savings from what we described as a recent inheritance. We also enrolled our prospective students in 2 websites, and 4 students were enrolled in these, and I will refer to these throughout my testimony as marketing lead generators. We did this to determine the type and frequency of marketing calls that we would receive from these websites. Now that I've set up what we did, let me move on to my second point, the results of our undercover testing. Specifically, we found that 4 colleges encouraged our students to commit fraud. All 15 provided deceptive and questionable information. What I'm going to do is walk you through our key findings and use the video clips to bring each of these points to life. Although, as I mentioned, all colleges provided fraudulent, deceptive, and otherwise questionable information, as Senator Enzi mentioned, they were not all bad, and some provided some good practices, so I'm going to start with that. For example, several applicants were told that the transfer of their credits depended upon the college that they were transferring to. Several applicants were told to research credible, independent evidence of expected salaries. And one representative that you'll see told our applicant to be cautious about taking out too much debt. These videos I'm going to show now will show some good practices.
So is employment like guaranteed?
No.
It's not
That I
guaranteed.
cannot say.
Okay.
Any school that says that to you gets the Pinocchio award.
So I'm sure you're going to cover a lot of stuff, like, I don't know if you have, like, placement services and this kind of stuff.
We'll talk about that. We
Okay.
do not have job placement.
Okay.
We can't guarantee that at all. I mean, in this economy, I don't think anyone that does guarantee it can really even guarantee it.
Yeah.
If I withdraw from college, I request the college return any credit balance on my account to the appropriate lender to reduce my loan debt. Obviously, you want that to happen. I would want that to happen. It's your decision. If you don't authorize to do that, then we would send it to you. But I think it's more beneficial to send it back to your lender to reduce the loan debt.
Unfortunately, these good practices were harder to identify than the bad ones. Let me start by speaking about my favorite topic, as you mentioned in your opening of me. I speak about fraud a lot. Representatives from 4 colleges encouraged our applicants to falsify their federal financial aid forms, or what you all have heard before is the FAFSA form, F-A-F-S-A. Examples included telling our students not to report the $250,000 in savings. One representative told us that this $250,000 wasn't any of the government's business. Another one told us to delete the $250,000 from our federal aid form. Other students were told to add bogus dependents to their federal aid form. One representative held up 3 fingers and told us specifically to add 3 bogus dependents to our federal aid form. By falsifying our applications, our fictitious students would have qualified for federal grants and subsidized loans that they were not entitled to. In other words, although we had enough money to pay for this, they told us to commit fraud so that federal taxpayers would pick up the tab. The following videos show you 2 of these fraud cases.
Is there a reason why you put this amount in for cash?
I got an inheritance last year. My aunt passed away, and that's why I thought, well, maybe I could go to school now. Does it affect anything?
Yeah. Frankly, in my opinion, they don't need to know how much cash you have. That's why you do a tax return.
I didn't know.
Yeah, just the FYI, they don't need to know your cash.
I didn't know.
No.
I was filling out the form.
Yeah, and a lot of people are honestly answer it, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
if you're doing it up here at the school, I pretty much tell them that's why you have a tax return.
Your ESC is high, you won't qualify for a grant to pay that.
Oh man.
Government do have the thing that we call special condition,
Uh-huh.
meaning if there's something going on in your life at this point that will reduce your income from last year to this year, we can go back in and say, well, this was what happened in '09.
Yeah.
By 2010 is going to be totally different.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know of anything.
You're not supporting anyone else or anything?
No, I'm not.
So now, if we go back in and say, okay, you made 30,000 and you're claiming a couple of people. And with the economy, it's understandable because people have to move in with other people.
Right,
you know.
right. I don't do anything that fast, so I just turn this in to you.
Turn it into me, and then I'll make the corrections according to what you're telling me.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that. So that would be like 5,000 I'd get for Pell Grant. And then
approximately, with two people, with two kids and you, it'd be 3 people. You might not get the whole 5,000, but you would get over 4, I would say.
Representatives from 13 colleges gave our applicants deceptive or questionable information about graduation rates, guaranteed jobs, or they exaggerated future earnings. Examples include one representative that said that people coming out of their barbershop program can earn $150,000 to $250,000. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 90% of the barbers in this area, which by the way is here in Washington, D.C., make less than $19,000 a year. Another representative did not offer a job guarantee, but said that 90% of the students get jobs. Here are some videos that show these types of issues.
Now think about this. Haircuts are now, I'll say $20. Yeah, $20, $25. Now think about it. If you had 3 people who came into the shop at $25, that's $75 an hour. And then if you work 8 hours, and if you had 3 people come in for those 8 hours at $25, I'd say 75 times 8, that's like $600 a day. $600 a day, and that's just on the low end. We have some students who are making maybe $600, $700, $800, maybe $1,000 a day.
I think you would be awesome in the medical field, like a medical assistant. They start out at like, I'm not supposed to discuss salaries, but they start out at like 38, 40,000. You can get specialized in different fields. They specialize in each field. With each specialization, you're going to make more money. So I know medical assistants that are making $68,000, $69,000 a year, and they only have to school for 9 months.
As you know, federal loan default rates at these for-profit colleges are high. At 8 of these colleges, at least 80% of the students have federal loans. Examples of bad advice we received include one individual telling us that they had $85,000 of student loans that they probably would not repay. Another representative told us that unlike car loans, nobody will come after you if you fail to pay your student loans. As you know, taxpayers pick up the tab for all these defaulted federal loans, and students do face consequences when they default on a loan.